Now I'm gonna hone these guides. Kibble White sends them undersized, so then you have to hone them to fit, which is the best way to do it. They're pretty hard bronze too, which is awesome, so kind of takes a minute, but I just use a Sunin. Put this in your drill and hone it to the proper clearances. I ready to put the bottom end together. So now this is a later crank that somebody has modified to fit these 50 cases. So it's a small journal bearing crank. So somebody ground the timing side pinion down to match that. Normally this would be like a 3-piece crank. Don't forget your breather disc. Make sure the spring and disc fit before you go cramming everything together. Every once in a while I'll go to do this and these little ears or something will be dragging on the bushing, or something doesn't fit, or they don't fit actually in the, you want to make sure they fit nicely in there, so if you go to engage it, it actually wants to go together. So start with a little bit of assembly lube down in there, make your life a whole lot easier. A little bit on both. Drop the breather disc down in. Spring behind it. Make sure it's not hanging up on anything. And find the ears with the cam and make sure it's engaged properly. There we go. Okay. So once you can kind of feel the spring doing its job, you know everything's lined up. So that's happy. Then we'll put in our intake cam. Make sure it feels nice and free. Something I already did off camera was I made sure that the cams did sit nicely in the cases. Because these are different cams than what were in it. It's always a good job to test fit it before you go bolting it together, because sometimes you'll run into problems where something, whether it's the bushings or the cams, there's some problem and you want to make sure you find that out before you're trying to do your final assembly. Carefully set your crank down in. Make sure you don't tag your rods on anything. Spins nice and free. Everything feels good. So now we're ready to drop our timing sight on, but seal your case halves. I use Blue Hylamar. It's my favorite. It works amazing. Dan at Franz and Grub has all your Hylamar needs. Buy it from him. He's the best. Dan the man. We'll talk more about him later when we start using some gaskets. I don't like getting this stuff on my skin. It's pretty gnarly, so I recommend wearing gloves. them up a little bit before. You have 2 cams, a crank, a pin, and a locator dowel. All need to be perfectly lined up, so sometimes it takes a little bit of finessing. Make sure everything's still spinning. Crank's loose, cams are both loose. There's only a couple pieces of hardware holding them together until the engine plates kind of finish the job, but I'm going to throw in the few that hold it together for now so we can continue working on it, but it looks pretty good. Tom gave me this nice anti-seize to install all the stainless steel hardware he got. It's all polished up, looks really good too. This is the gears after I drilled them. This isn't necessary. Like, I don't think anyone would know a difference if these were in their engine or not. But it looks really cool and it's fun. You know, you're reducing a little bit of rotating mass, but I don't think it's enough for anyone to really know. Again, obviously it looks cool, and people like things that look cool, so the gears that we're with were kind of just a mess, you know. One's a pre-unit, one's a unit. They don't, you know, you can see how much difference there is in thickness. And then somebody's gouged them in a bunch of spots. I don't know if it was timing marks that somebody was making or what the fuck. You know, sometimes people put like pennies in between them to try and like tighten them down or loosen them or whatever it is, but I just don't like chewed up stuff. It's not worth finding out if it's okay or not. It could probably run and never have an issue, or I'll find out the hard way that it was a bad idea to put it back in. So just grabbed a good new set, drilled them. Again, who cares, but it looks fun. I like it. I will show you installing these with the proper tools next.